Just a little bit of initial playing around with this toy I got recently. This is a Interpower international power source. It's basically an AC output power supply that can output either 0 to 130 volts, 120 volt nominal, or 0 to 260 volts for either 220 or 240 nominal. And of course, both these are both the 240 nominal and 220 volt nominal receptacles are live at the same time in the 0 to 260 volt range. There is a changeover relay, so you can only use the 120 volt or 240 volt outputs. You can't use both at once. So you can't be, say, like an output potential and then double that potential. Say you want to try 120 and 240 volt at the same frequency. Can't do that, at least not without external transformers. Anyways, what I'm doing here, have this outputting about 83 and a bit cycles per second. Also, if you get a hold of one of these, the frequency can be a bit off because this has a bunch of epoxy blob tanks I need to replace in it because it is 35 years old. And, you know, the fact that epoxy blob tanks look kind of like match heads, yeah, they can act like match heads as well if you're used to dealing with older electrical equipment, so yes, those are definitely getting replaced. And also I want to see about calibrating the frequency so that this reads accurately and I don't need the separate multimeter for monitoring. Although the output potential does seem reasonably accurate. I haven't checked current yet. First, because I just got this thing. I am running this. It's a 70 watt high pressure sodium fixture. I've got a 50 watt lamp in it because it's running at 83 cycles per second. If you want to know why, that's to see if these will run on 83 1/3 cycle per second railroad power for some possible upcoming experiments. And this is a non-power factor corrected fixture, so that current is the lamp current. It's 1.171 amperes according to this thing, and nominal current for a S68 50 watt high pressure sodium lamp is 1.18 amperes, so right in the happy zone. And of course this uses a choke ballast, so this kind of experiment is relatively easy to do. Just looking at what the lamp current is, ratio of frequencies, etc. should give you an idea of ballpark. If you're using something like a HX ballast, a high leakage reactance autotransformer, it could get a little bit more complicated. And if it's a constant power autotransformer or peak lead ballast, that can get a lot more complicated because then you have to do all kinds of funky stuff with the capacitor. But yeah, and then of course I just have that clip-on choke there and this capacitor as a kind of LC filter just so that the igniter spikes from this don't backfeed into this, because even though I did get this for a decent price, it was still in the many hundreds of dollars because these things ain't cheap. And yes, at some point I'm going to do a video, back on power supply, of the recapping and hopefully calibration procedures as well, because if you can get a good deal on one of these, they're kind of useful, especially because this will go all the way up to 500 cycles per second. Things like testing single phase, at least because this doesn't do three phase, aircraft equipment, and that's one of the reasons why I got this thing. And plus is a 50 cycle source that is capable of outputting more than the 600 watt, so 600 VA effectively, 24 volt inverters that I have. And also there are some idiosyncrasies with this thing, like sometimes when adjusting the output potential, it can change the frequency because the guts of this thing, this is all, not so much TTL, I think it's mostly CMOS, but this thing predates, reasonably cheap direct digital synthesis, so it's all hardware generating the output on this thing, although it is pure sine, because I did check with my oscilloscope multimeter, which is a perfectly normal thing to have. And of course the reason for that shimmering, that's a beat frequency because the lamp is strobing at about 166 times a second which is, there's a pronounced beat frequency relative to the 60 frames a second that the camera's taking. Yeah, fun little toy. And also, if you got one of these and you need to run it on railroad power, we've got a 70 watt fixture, 50 watt lamp on 83 1/3 cycles per second will work just fine.